Basically, I'm joined by a friend every week to discuss media from one of our childhood / our shared childhood and seeing how it holds up in modern day. And I'm joined with Chris this week.
Hello. I'm really bad on camera.
Well, one thing that you brought is your love for Dr. Pepper.
Oh, yes.
I don't know, actually, if Star Wars, we're going to talk about Star Wars today, later on. I don't know if Star Wars or Dr. Pepper like wins out for you. Are they just equal in your personality?
They both have to be equal, I think. I don't think I can have one without the other. And I'd say if there were two things that people like know about me, it's probably Star Wars and Dr. Pepper.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of my things.
This is proof. From your wedding, I have, at my table, we were the Star Wars table. And I could drink Dr. Pepper.
Yeah.
Although I think mine had I remember it leaking, so.
Yeah, it might have a crack in it. I don't know. We
it's
made
nice,
the mugs.
It's homemade.
It's
like nice. It reminds me of like those like fancy like bottles that have like a wink axe.
Yeah.
What do these called? A wink, not a wink. Wax.
Wax.
Yeah.
Yeah,
wax,
that's like
right?
paintable. It was
nice.
like paintable chalkboard or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fun. Yeah.
Cool. Well, what is this?
So
Dr. Pepper cream soda?
Yeah, so this is the first new addition to the Dr. Pepper lineup in a long time. And it's a permanent addition. It's not just like limited time. Like I know once they came out with I think it was Spider-Man Far From Home, they had a
I got that
flavor, the dark berry.
Blue dark, yeah.
And then but now they made the Dr. Pepper and cream soda for, to stay around. And it's tough right now to get it in a can because of the can shortage, but if you want to get your fix, you can always go to the nearest gas station, pick up a bottle, kind of like how we did today.
Yeah, it was fun too. I haven't especially with like this year has been crazy, but do you know the last time I had a soda? You want to take a guess how long it's been?
My wedding? I don't know.
No.
Longer.
No, I think it was last March in 2019.
Wow.
So it's been a year and a half. Do you know what happened do you know what, or it was April?
Was it the last time I was
It was
here?
a movie theater.
No.
So it was like one of those huge movie theater ones.
That's funny. So that's funny because I went and saw the 6th Harry Potter movie with my cousin when we were.
Wait,
like,
was this the last time you had a
No,
Dr. Pepper?
No. The last time I had a Dr. Pepper would be a couple hours ago, but that was the last time I had one of the big movie drinks.
Okay.
It was like 10 a.m.
I mean, I shared it obviously,
Yeah.
but
No, I didn't. I had it on, like halfway through the 6th Harry Potter movie. I'm like running out of the theater. I went to the bathroom probably like 8 times before the movie was over.
God.
It was bad, but yeah. But I would do it again if it was full of Dr. Pepper and cream soda.
My biggest insecurity was being overweight, and I think like 5, maybe 6 years ago, I gave up soda for a New Year's resolution, and it honestly stuck ever since.
Dang.
And not that I won't like. The best part about that is when I have a soda once a year, it's like one of the best. I mean, that sounds bad, but it is like that much better.
Yeah.
So
true.
I'm excited.
Let's crack them open.
Yeah.
See what you think. Get your impressions.
Give it a
little
tap. Wow. Yeah. It's always my mom and sisters. It's their favorite soda. So
really?
We have this around all the time.
I'm gonna put mine in my Dr. Pepper tumbler just to keep it ice cold, but that's just
the cream soda is slight. Yeah, it's pretty good. This has 129% of my daily sugar though, and I gotta say, if you know me, if any of my friends know me, that my biggest meme of 2019 and 2020 is my hate for sugar. I took a big red pill on the sugar documentary. Fed up.
Yeah, I elected not to watch it and to ignore reading any of these labels. Being a member of the Pepper Pack, which, if the people don't know, it's the Dr. Pepper fan club. I've been in it since 2017 now.
Wow.
Yeah, it's changed my life. Only for the better. It's gotten me a lot of free stuff from Dr. Pepper.
Yeah.
I can't lie about that.
No, that's awesome.
But it's been cool. It's fun to see all the other people who were like crazy into this soft drink.
Yeah, we were talking like it's crazy that the internet can bring together all sorts of like communities and hobbies, because like I would never guess that there would be a cult following of Dr. Pepper.
Yeah, and then for other people wondering, it's like 750 people in this club, so it's like nationwide. It's all over. But
did you know that when I was in middle school, I had a Dr. Pepper shirt? No. It was just straight up Dr. Pepper logo.
I had no idea.
You know that. I remember this because my grandma would, there's this picture of me and all my cousins, and I was wearing it, and it was her wallpaper on her computer for years. It might still be, and I'm like 11. I'm like, Mama, please. No, I don't care.
Was it like the old school, like the 80s logo?
I don't know. I got it from JCPenney. They had like the best graphic tees. You know, they got like
Back
the Mario stuff, the Dr. Pepper stuff, the Star Wars stuff. I don't remember where this was from. You were asking me about this. I mean, it's Under Armour. But
because like it's such a hard time to find athletic.
Yeah. Because you've made your own athletic Dr. Pepper.
Yeah.
Which makes sense that there isn't a market for that, to be no offense.
Well, there's a cult following, let's call it that.
Oh, God.
There's other people who want it, but...
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see.
I mean, endorphins and
I mean, it's
sugar.
It's you know, it's what picks you up. I'm not a coffee guy, I'm a Dr. Pepper guy, you know, so...
Well, anyway, I like to start the show by asking, what is something new on the media side you've been enjoying with all the...
Media... I guess probably the newest thing I've spent a lot of time in quarantine rewatching things, old stuff that I've enjoyed. Yeah. Not as much watching new stuff.
I mean, it could be old, just lately, you know?
Yeah,
so
I'd say the latest would be Avatar: The Legend of Korra.
Yeah, it's on my list.
Which has been really good. I guess it just like went under my radar when it first came out.
But I never watched it too. Everybody assumes like, oh, you know, because I am that kind of...
Yeah, but it's been really good. It's been a good ride.
It's high on my list.
Yeah, it's highly recommended.
It's cool that it's like anime inspired, but it's made in America, if I understand it right. But it seems really Eastern. Like whenever I've seen, like it looks like monks and like elements, and it looks really cool to me. But
I really like how they blend all these different things together that they piece together, you know, from all these different cultures, but then they put it in this, you know, fantasy world where. You know, they can kind of make their own rules with it, but I think they did a good job. I don't think it was... I think it's something where a lot of people from all over the world can watch it and enjoy it, which I kind of think is cool. Like, it's hard to find stuff like that these days, I think.
That's awesome.
Now this feels much more 60 minutes.
Yeah. 60... That's been parodied in so many shows, and I just think it's hilarious that it's, like, referenced. Or even, what was it in this, the McDonald's, Monopoly? You know what I mean? The documentary about the McDonald's Monopoly game.
No, what?
Maybe I'm losing my mind. Okay. Anyway, we're back. One thing I've been watching is a ton of cartoons, which you've kind of like. You were like, oh, Clone Wars ended. That's on my short-term list, but I just got kind of burnt out. And this is like a longer conversation about like the recent sequels, I guess. But I got kind of burnt out. But I've been watching regular show, which I never finished. And I used to kind of, like, I watched that in Adventure Time because they were, like, airing it around the same time.
Yeah.
And that show was just awesome to me. I mean, I never realized how, like, adult it was because I was, like, probably 12. But, like...
But it's really underrated, I feel.
Yeah, it was made for Adult Swim. And then like, I didn't even realize that. So, like, all the soda is meant to be beer. And the chicken, they get drunk off chicken wings, like, all the time. And it's, like, so funny.
I feel like I always thought regular show was funny because it was, like, just these... guys at work, like, and then like all these crazy things were happening. I don't know. I feel like I can relate to it more now than I could when I watched like 10 episodes as a kid.
Yeah, it breaks all my norms too.
I definitely want to rewatch it.
Yeah, because it's almost like a sitcom. Like they have the Halloween episode every year, but it's like these 10-minute. It's kind of nice. I like the 10-minute format. But the reason I'm watching it, which is really interesting, also I'm kind of like I'm in it now for like what happens with all these relationships because they actually like. Later on, they build a lot of story into it, and it's pretty well written. But the creator of the show, apparently, this show and his next show that came out like a few weeks ago, Close Enough, is like an autobiography of his life. But Close Enough is like action adult cartoon. But I don't like a lot of those. Like I never got into like Family Guy or Simpsons or like Rick and Morty's like hot and cold with me. But I actually really like this. It was like a disjointed family who like lives with a divorced couple and they have like a kid. And it's like they're young adult parents, and it's just like these benign adult things, but then they become like, you know, like in regular show, like super sci-fi and surreal and fantastic. Yeah. So I really recommend that. And then a writer from regular show started this cartoon, Infinity Train.
Okay.
And it has like 2 or 3 seasons.
I've heard about that.
I only found it because this guy who reviews Adventure Time videos, like in depth, he reviews them, and I was like, well, if he, you know, I love how he like got me so into Adventure Time, and like he also reviewed Steven Universe, which I recommend. But Infinity Train, I explain it. I'm only a few episodes in. It's like Adventure Time, but like without the fluff and with just pure emotion and story and like deep stuff.
And if they just
and
stayed
like
on the
it's
train.
all plot, like it's like it never stops.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's like that episode where there's the train.
Yeah.
I haven't burped in like a year and a half.
It's a lot of carbonation you just took in.
That is weird though. I literally don't burp. Like I've had a few beers, I guess, in the last year and a half. So like I'll burp from those. But beer and this is like, but yeah, like each train cart is like a universe, and it's like almost like how Ooh and like Adventure Time has that crazy universe. I just love this show already from the universe. So I love, and it's more of like a kid cartoon.
What's that on?
It was on Cartoon Network, and I don't know if it's on Hulu, but HBO Max has all the new Cartoon Network stuff.
Oh, okay.
Whereas like Hulu still has like Adventure Time and all that. But yeah, but I really recommend that for any fan of cartoons. Like it's just, and it stars a preteen girl, and like her family is like kind of getting divorced, so it's like I feel like they're gonna lean heavily into that. But it's also this like fantasy thing, so I've been loving that.
Nice. Yeah. Sounds good.
Yeah.
I need to check it out. Well, I need to rewatch regular show.
Yeah, regular show's good. It's a little more like just Saturday morning, like zone at veg out, like this is hilarious. Yeah. But the other two shows I think have more, nuance.
Serious, yeah.
Yeah. And I'm thinking about BoJack Horseman now too. Like, I know, I've heard some good things.
That's probably the only adult cartoon I've ever gotten into, and I totally forgot about it until you said it. But gotten into as like, I'm pretty sure the last like 2 or 3 seasons I just binged from like the night, like, and I remember being in college, it was either last year or 2 years ago when 2 seasons ago came out. And I started at like 8 p.m. and I finished at like 3 a.m. I was just laying in bed, like watching all
That's
these
a good
episodes.
feeling though when it's that good.
Yeah, it's definitely, it's pretty like, I almost want to say like gritty. Like it deals with a lot of like heavy topics, and some people like it, some people don't. But I mean, I got something out of it. I like when things make you think about your life and how you react to situations. And, like, regardless of what the show, like, quote, tells you, you know, how your reaction should be, you can still draw your own conclusions from it. But I don't know. That's what I liked about it. Like, it made you think. And I liked a lot of the actors in it, like Will Arnett.
Yeah, Will Arnett is great.
Yeah. Just like the voices. But,
yeah. I have a long list.
Yeah.
I'm scared. And then video games for me, because those are, like, well, they're not longer necessarily, but they can be longer.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Like The Witcher 3.
Games like that, like...
Sucked me in. Yeah. Bought it 2 months ago, and I played it for like 2 months straight. But it was an awesome game. It was great. It was a fun time.
Well, this is so fun. I could literally just keep going, but we're here to talk about Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, which I think I have a more unique experience. I remember, obviously, growing up with the prequels being in our generation. And I'm pretty sure I watched 4, 5, and 6 first, and then like 1 and 2. Yeah. And I think similar to you were saying like 3 was the first one that was like coming out when we were into it. It wasn't like retroactive, like our dad or who trying to get us into it.
Yeah, yeah. I definitely remember. My parents grew up with. We had this big green van that was like the day driver.
We had a Suburban. We called it the Big Green Turd.
Yeah. No, ours was the Green Mystery Machine. We loved it. But it had like. It literally had like the fake wood paneling in it. Like it was an old Ford van, but it had the old school TV in it. So like a lot of my memories of like movies growing up as a kid was from being in the van. Wow. And my parents had like the limited edition VHS trilogy of the original trilogy, and then like 1 and 2 on VHS. Yeah. Like I remember watching them a lot in the car. But yeah, like you said, Episode 3 was the first like. That was when Star Wars became a part of who I am. It wasn't just like some fun thing I watched, but I'll never forget, 2005, my dad, I'm 8 years old, my dad takes me to see this PG-13, my first PG-13 movie. Yeah, like crazy. I'll never forget, walking into the theater with him and sitting down, and we're in like the middle of the theater, and then, just Star Wars starts playing, and
the credits. And
and like that's something... like it just is become a part of me.
That wasn't your first movie theater movie, right? I was probably like 7 when I went to my first theater.
Yeah, but I don't remember anything before that.
Because mine was like Piglet's Big Movie, which is quite a different experience, even though they're both now Disney.
Yeah, I remember like... I'm sure I went to see movies like that in theaters, but like... I'd say my first movie theater experience, like... memory is still probably Star Wars though. I remember other stuff, but it was like I was definitely older, like 10 or 11, that kind of age. I remember I had one of my birthdays, whatever the year The Incredibles came out, I think I had a birthday party of where we went to the movie theater and watched The Incredibles, and then went to dinner afterwards or whatever. But yeah, movies have always been a big part of like who I am. Like I really enjoy movies. Like I probably went to the movies at least once a month in high school, and especially once I could drive, like I feel like I would just go all the time as like a fun thing to do. But
yeah, I've been questioning this year whether they'll play as big of a part in my life.
Yeah,
I don't know. I mean,
I think movies will always be a big part, but like the movie theater experience, that I don't know, which makes you kind of sad because like that was
like Infinity War. That was like my favorite experience. I don't know. Was that, I was gonna ask actually if episode 3, you probably don't remember that well, but was it that electric or similarly?
Yeah. Well, so like in my 8-year-old mind, I think it was like huge, right? It's cool because I feel like every Star Wars movie since that I've gone to see in the theater, I feel like I get that same feeling. Yeah. That same like, I don't know, maybe it's just me recreating the memory, in my mind over again, or maybe it's like there is that energy in the room, but I don't know. It's weird because I've never seen a Star Wars movie that I thought was bad in the theater. It's when I watch it the 4th, 5th, 20th time afterwards, and I'm like, maybe this wasn't as perfect as I thought when I was in the
when I watched the big screen. 7 and 8 and 9, I adored them in the theaters.
Yes.
And I remember like the day and the day after, I was like I got to tell everybody about this who's seen it, of course, because my freaking cousin mentioned that Han died like the 2 days before I saw it, and that was like the most excited I was, for the return of the. But by the way, we're gonna have some spoilers probably for episode 3 and the whole, which is pretty obvious.
If you haven't seen it, I know 2005 was not that long ago, but if you haven't seen it, but no, speaking of 7. My dad walked out of the theater to get a refill on popcorn and said to the guy at the concession stand, "I can't believe they killed Han Solo." The dude had like a breakdown. He was like he started like throwing his arms around and like all upset. My dad's standing there with his popcorn thing, like trying to get a refill. I'm like, I mean, it's kind of his fault, right? Like he could have not scheduled to be working that shift and done a different one and seen the movie, but.
Those are the words your dad could have said too.
Yeah, there's worse things he could have spoiled for it, but
But every time I've come home, we got the DVD for 7, and I was like just bored, honestly, which I feel bad.
Yeah.
I watched like Rogue One, for instance, a second time after the theater, and I actually that was still amazing, which is like really weird to like analyze in my head, like why that is. Especially like 8, I thought I saw it twice in theaters, actually. No, that was 7 I saw twice in theaters.
I saw all 3 all the new Star Wars movies I've seen twice in theaters.
I think only once for the 7 and 8 for me. But maybe twice for Rogue One, to be honest. My life's been I don't know. Yeah.
Well, it was an exciting time. We were, freshmen in college when 7 came out? And then every year, basically, after that, they had a new Star Wars movie until...
every year.
Until this past year,
Oh, and what's the new TV show? Mandalorian. I like that probably better than 7, 8, and 9. Like that and Rogue One to me are like the best thing that have come out since, which is
you really have to separate, the shows from the new movies in terms of what Disney's done, because it's like two completely different directions, I think. And the show they really took very seriously and like wanted to make a quality product that was true to like.
Well, they were selling Disney Plus with that originally too.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Well, not that they,
Well, and look at Disney Plus now. They've hit however many of their projected subscribers. But the movies, I felt the new trilogy lacked direction. Like they didn't have a plan going in. They were just like,
they handed
let's
over
make this
from
movie.
JJ to.
Yeah, it was like, hey, make this movie, and then, you can do whatever you want with it.
And then you have 2 years. It was like, that's what they should have just like...
Yeah. Now, originally, the original trilogy, it was like a 3-year gap between. So I think they were trying to simulate that. Yeah. But they... Yeah. They needed a vision, and they needed to follow it through, and I think a lot of people would have been happier with that. Yeah. Even if it was a vision a lot of us didn't like, I think having cohesion... would have at least made it all 3 movies are so disjointed from one another.
Even just how they feel.
Yeah, it was disappointing to watch them like for the third time and be like, maybe these aren't as good as what they were in the theater. But I mean, I still appreciate the memories of the seeing it, like watching Star Wars in a movie theater. I don't think we'll ever get old.
For me, 7 was the first one in theaters actually, because but I remember seeing like trailers for 3 all the time actually. Like in Target, I remember specifically seeing the like lava duel on the trailer, and I was so mystified at that. Yeah. But to bring it back to watch, before 7 came out, we were all so excited, my family. So during winter break or after college, we binged like marathon all of them. I don't know if we did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or if we did it the other way. But I think we did 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, because I remember my mom and one sister hadn't seen them, like, they probably had seen them, but in passing. Yeah. So we were like, we gotta like start with 4, 5, 6, and they loved them, and they had never been into the series, and they came with us to see 7. But then 1, 2, 3, we were just like, especially 1 and 2, we were just tearing apart while we watched it, especially because like my sister's like, she's like acted, and they like could they were older now because we grew up. Honestly, my sisters and I, especially them, because they didn't like the movies. They were like 6 probably or 5. No, they were like 4. If you were 8 and I was 8, they were 4. They were even before your gap. But they learned it through Lego Star Wars, through the mumbling and grunting, the no funny scenes, which to me even is
Lego video games are always good.
Although they added voice acting in the last couple, and I don't know.
I think that in like the complete Skywalker saga one, I think there's voice acting. I didn't watch the trailer with volume up, but I saw mouths moving, so we'll see.
It's so nostalgic. Like my sisters still like they would be down to play Lego Star Wars game or Lego game. Like they like Lego Harry Potter and
it's just so wholesome. Like Lego video games they've always done a great job with. But I'd say so the prequels. Another thing people have a lot of mixed feelings on, but I think a lot of the redemptive features of the prequels come in the form of all the memes that come out of them. I mean, there's basically a meme memory now that I have associated with like almost any scene, any line from the prequels, and it makes them a lot better to watch.
Like we just watched 3 before this, and honestly, we were just laughing, or I was at least we were both laughing, but me even more.
I was crying when they were killing the younglings and the other.
Well, obviously there was some emotional parts, but I don't think they intended. Nowadays, all the superhero movies and even Star Wars, they have so many funny lines in them. Action movies have a lot of comedy, but they did not write. They wrote that as a drama action movie. But when Palpatine is just falling in the chair, or Palpatine just looks, and
most of what Palpatine did.
It's like a soap opera, and as a kid, it didn't matter, but it's just.
As a kid, it was the epic duel between light and dark. We were gonna watch Darth Vader be born from the fire.
I wonder too, if people even saw those things coming. Did they know that the twins would be birthed from Padme? Were those things weren't just in 4, 5, and 6, right? Or were they? I don't even know.
I mean, we knew, right? We knew the information.
Yeah, you're my father. You're right.
It was just the prequels were spelling it out, all the speculation that we had from 4, 5, and 6. Mm-hmm. I mean, 3 just really 3 is the best of the prequels. I think hands down. Partly because I think it's less dialogue heavy and a lot more action heavy.
Yeah, I noticed that too.
Fight scene
ever.
Longest cinematic fight scene ever. No, insane. Duel of the Fates.
And
crazy.
When we were watching them before 7 came out, my family, we did 3. I remember we were this one's way better. We noticed, because we watched them, I don't know if it was the same day or at least probably maybe the same day even. And we were wow, we were impressed by it coming from 2, which was we had the worst. Even I think if we watched 2, the CGI would have not held up as well. Because I kept saying they're walking and talking. That's pretty much all the dialogue. And in 1 and 2, it's so boring. Literally, it was hard to sit through. But with 3, you're right.
1 and 2, the only interesting things really are the fight scenes at the end. That's it. Yeah. And then 3, the whole thing's a fight scene. It starts as a fight scene, it ends as a fight scene. In the middle, there's fighting. Yeah. They keep it pretty fast paced, which I think is what kind of saved it from the same mistakes of the other 2.
For sure.
And I think the CGI got a little better between 1 and 2.
For sure.
I was telling you while we were watching it, it's hard to predict what technology is going to hold up.
Yeah. How's it
20 years
perceived later?
So the originals are classics, even though those graphics aren't state of the art stuff. Whereas the prequels are like, oh, too much green screen. But like, movies are still made with that, but it's just like way more detailed and elaborate.
And actors weren't used to it. Like you say, it was cutting edge. So like they were just like probably confused.
Walking with
they did
screen.
the best they could. Like Samuel L. Jackson was not used to like holding. I mean, one thing I noticed, and I've always had this complaint, is just like the beginning felt a little disjointed from like the whole the Count Dooku thing. I feel like should have just like not happened at all, and they should have just started. Like, why was Palpatine? They didn't explain anything. They're just like Palpatine was arrested, and like I don't know. They had a space. I guess they had to have a space fight scene because they didn't have any other space fights.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's pretty much why.
They definitely, George Lucas was definitely thinking about what else he was going to do when he was making it. Right, like he did. He knew in the back of his mind. I think that he's like, oh, we don't have enough time to make a 6-hour movie. Like, I'm gonna put this information in other stuff later, and then fast forward to 2008, and we get the Clone Wars theatrical
Also,
release.
toys. I mean,
Yeah.
And even in Lego Star Wars, to me, like that level was so challenging, and like those even stick out more. It was like I always loathed it. I loathed that level more than any other level. I would just always die because it was like on rails. So they forced you to keep going.
Complicated.
But like I had the Vulture Droid Lego kit and like Anakin Sky. So to me, it's like I remember that and my own stories playing with the Legos or the video game Lego game more than the actual movie. Like, which is so sad because like how we view 7, 8, and 9, and I guess all the world mostly. I'm sure there's like hundreds and hundreds of kids who love it.
There's kids who grew up with it who were like, this is the best thing ever.
And that's why we like 3 more because of
100%.
The whole universe of Star Wars blowing up. But I'm sure like if, our parents, the people who grew up in the 70s, like probably look at the prequels the same way
I think even if we were 5 to 10 years older and had gotten more into Star Wars and like the prequels were more of an exciting thing as they came out. Because I feel like a lot of it was a disappointment at the time for a lot of the hardcore
like
fans
30 years, it's like...
And they bring it back, and then and kind of the same thing happened with the sequels when they came out.
They didn't like plug into the lore that was already there because we were talking like you were explaining all the stuff in Clone Wars that they built upon, and they could have done that. Like Darth Plagueis has never really been mentioned again, stuff like that,
Yeah, it's very like they took the sequels and tried to just remake the originals, but in today's terms instead of when they were originally made, which just wasn't like, at its core, wasn't a very appealing story or something that was in demand, I feel. Whereas the prequels was like answering questions of how did this, like, they talk about the Clone Wars in the originals. They talk, like, Darth Vader, like, how did all that happen? Whereas like the sequels, it was like, let's change the name of the rebellion to the Resistance. We'll keep the symbol.
It's not even memorable. Like honestly, when 8 came out, I was like, I was in the theater and I like turned. It's my family or Carolina, and I was like, what happened in 7? Like, the Resistance? Are they the good guys or the bad guys? Like I literally forgot everything from 7 or 8 when I was watching 9.
And and I feel like this is turning into just dumping on the sequels, but it needs to be said sometimes. But like. 7, it was like it was like the meme of like, hey, can I copy your homework? And someone goes like, yeah, sure, just change it up a bit. And that's what they did. True. Like random girl on a desert
Let's
planet.
Make C-3PO red.
Yeah. It was also
like it was very like for the masses, whereas like the prequels, my complaints with like they're so boring, but that is for the fans.
But it was for the fans. Yeah. And people are like, I don't care about intergalactic trade, but me, I'm sitting there like wait a second, how these numbers aren't adding up? How are they gonna pay for this?
Yeah, like I think we should have just like kept, if we had like 4 hours, like I kept asking you questions and like I wanted to keep asking more. Like the Senate with like the thousands of like little hubs and stuff, like that's confusing. Like the politics went over my head as a kid. I was just there for the like lightsabers.
Yeah, I definitely know more about the inner workings of the Galactic Republic, or of the the Republic and the Senate than I do probably of our current actual political structure in the U.S. But escapism isn't bad. It's only
that's why we love movies, honestly.
Yeah, pretty much.
And you were saying there's a book that is on Padme and 90% of it is like her outfits. And
yeah.
Like,
I think it's Queen's Shadow, and I think by E.K. Johnston.
Were these denounced recently,
No,
or have they been official ever? Not just the Padme, but like all the
So, I basically have read very little of Star Wars Legends stuff. I did like when it was coming out, but then when they blew it all up, like then they basically made things the way they wanted to. Because the Legends was like anybody could make it, and like anyone could do anything with it, and it wasn't like Disney sanctioned, necessarily. So then they kind of blew it all up to get rid of it, so that way Disney didn't have to fight for all these intellectual properties.
And they could just go with like Rebels and go.
And they could make what they want.
Nobody would be mad.
Yeah, and it was. But they've made a lot of quality. Like, there's so much background information. And that's kind of, honestly, like, my favorite part of it is these little tidbits, these little background stories. Like, they made a book 2 years ago called From a Certain Point of View. And it was to celebrate the 40th anniversary of the original Star Wars movie. And it's 40 short stories from different, side characters' points of view in the book.
That's cool.
So, like, 10 of the characters in the cantina where Han Solo and Greedo are, we get these like just this added backstory to it, and I love I guess it's like world building around it. Like I love that aspect of Star Wars.
Like he built his own languages, you know what I mean? Like Star Wars is one of the most like built worlds and like lived in universes.
The world building in it.
Like, there's like hundreds of TV shows nowadays that are like building a universe. Like, they have like the TV show here and it connects to this. But like Star Wars was like the first one to like have this big world. Not the first, I guess.
Yeah, I mean like
Lord
Star
of the
Wars,
Rings
Star
or whatever.
Trek,
But
Lord
like
of the Rings, all that stuff like has had its own world building. But I'd say Star Wars is far and away the most lucrative of the at this point, and it could change. They're making other stuff for other things. Oh my God.
Like the Darth Plagueis thing, now I know it so well because people have talked about it in like theories. But like when I was a kid, I don't even remember like the name Plagueis. But like watching it here, it's just so interesting to like. And you were telling me about the Jedi Temple 10,000 years ago and like how the clones were like sanctioned, and it's just these like one lines, but then they're just like expanded on. And
I think that's kind of what I was going along the lines of. Like I just love I love the background stuff. I love the little details that they add in later. And they've done such a good job with that. I think with the Clone Wars, the show, with the Star Wars Rebels, and then like there's so many new Star Wars books I'd say they've made in the last like 10 years that are really good. Like that really add to, a book collection that you have and really let you. I think Star Wars lets you then. It has something for everybody. Like it's told so many stories. Like that's what I was gonna say. I think Star Wars at its heart is a backdrop for telling good stories that are out of this world, but still we relate to.
Yeah, you were saying it's like connected to like our politics and even like the bad love story that's in this movie. It is still very human. It's like fear and like control and power and love. I think rooted in it.
It's all these. There's a lot of very like archetypal stories and characters and things that are put into Star Wars, and I think people can really like latch onto that and find something that they relate to. And that's why I think too, like so many more people I feel like now can get into Star Wars than before, like guys and girls. I know growing up a lot, it was like even growing up, when we were growing up, like Star Wars was like for boys, but now I feel like it's a much more, at least the people I know, like it's a much more equitable like. Boys and girls, people.
I mean, Rey is just like a good character. Like they don't really mention, to my knowledge. Like I mean, I've seen people complain about her, like putting her in there to make money, but I still think it's like.
No, I think she's a good character.
Well.
It's the problem was what they did with her. I mean, same thing with like Rose Tico. Like she gets a lot of
so sad.
It kills me how these actors get hate in real life from people for just doing the job they were paid
It's like this movie. Like they did a good job. Like Palpatine and Anakin, they weren't the best, but like they had a script. They had a green screen.
At the end of the day, they were paid to stand there and read from read lines,
read and walk, or read and swipe your sword.
I mean, like if there's anyone to blame, it's the director, and then when he watched it for the 1,000th time before he actually finished it, and going, this is what they're gonna want. Like, it's disappointing, but at the same time, I don't sit here and go like, oh, I'm never gonna watch Star Wars again. Like, it was better when I was a kid, because sure, I didn't like the sequels very much, but The Mandalorian is one of the best things. The Mandalorian basically has set up like the future of Star Wars.
It really
like,
has, yeah.
The way in which they film it, like it's so now immersive in terms of like set building and then flawlessly transitioning into like the screen, green screen or otherwise.
Yeah.
Like to where they can make it that much more realistic. Yeah, and I think that's the way it's going. They found a way now to make Star Wars at a reasonable price for themselves without, sinking too much into it.
Yeah. They were flexing a lot with this movie. A lot of special effects.
Yeah, and I don't know, at the same, does Star Wars need to always be movies forever? I don't know. I don't know what.
Not 2.5 hour movies that are. Yeah. I mean, yeah.
But yeah, 3, I mean, to me, 3's always held up, but I'm pretty attached to it, and I've probably watched it 3 to 4 times a year. You were quoting
almost every single line.
It gets bad. I always feel bad, but I can't help it.
No, I was enjoying it. Healthy.
Yeah, my wife does not enjoy when I quote the Star Wars movies. It's hard enough to get her to watch them with me, but then when we do, she's like, "Stop quoting it. Let me watch the movie."
For me, 3 was almost the most traumatic. Not the most traumatic, but I have memories because I remember I didn't watch it in theaters, but my dad was a little hesitant for a few of the scenes, and I was a scared kid. I remember watching Harry Potter, and I went under the blanket.
Don't get me started on the Chamber of Secrets. That was horrifying.
No, I mean, that one was better for me, but for the Sorcerer's Stone, I, never saw the back of the, Voldemort's head. For some reason, I was always freaked out of that. And then same with this movie. I don't know which came first, probably this one. But, when Anakin killed the kids... That sounds weird. But my dad,
the younglings.
I think my dad just, maybe either warned me. I don't know if he was, strict on, don't look. But I don't remember looking. And then I remember, I think because of the trailer, maybe, or my dad probably went to the theater. Yeah, he probably did. And he, I don't know if he didn't want me to watch the lava scene. But I remember going upstairs. And I remember being so, conflicted because I had missed the Palpatine Yoda fight scene.
Yeah.
Because I didn't see the whole 12-minute. I went right when I saw lava, I was freaked out.
Wow.
And maybe it was just the build up that I was scared of. Plus, maybe my dad didn't let me. I'll have to ask him. Maybe he remembers. Yeah. But I never even saw the lava scene or the fight scene or the Palpatine Yoda scene. So when I watched it 5 years ago, I'm so ready. And I was like, this is it. It was kind of gross, but it wasn't terrifying or anything. My whole life I thought it was scary. And the funniest thing too is my grandma gave me this Anakin figure, but the figure transforms. You turn the head around and you take off the limbs, and it's this pink fleshy baby. I was kind of afraid of that toy. I had the power to see it or not see it, which I always thought was funny. And that's why
it's one of those Barbies you can put underwater and it's a mermaid.
Well, I had also, it was a transformer kind of. But I remember too in the Lego level, I loved that level. It was so hard, and I was kind of stressed out in the lava Mustafar level. Oh. But I remember I know the fight scene more from that when there's the sinking Tower of Pisa and the. Also in the movie, why did they attack? Why do they keep having to run around everywhere and slash everything? Yeah, I was why is this civilization crumbling?
It's. Yeah, I mean, I guess part of it was just to be epic, but I don't know.
I think so, yeah.
It captured my attention, and
it was great.
They were smart enough because they created a fan out of me forever, money and all. So
yeah, I mean, it was a brother, and a master being rejected by his Padawan.
It's very I almost wish growing up I had a brother or something to share.
Yeah, me too. I was
growing up with, because it was almost I feel because I grew up with 2 sisters. I was watching all the as the middle kid, I was always kind of stuck watching.
I mean, the Barbie movies were great.
Yeah, no, I have no problem.
I would do an episode of that.
The Barbie Nutcracker special.
Princess and the Pauper was really good too.
Yeah, or what was the one where there was a dragon or something? Maybe that is the one I'm thinking.
The dragon one. The Pauper had the cat and the. It was good, but
I don't remember. But yeah, so I watched all that stuff growing up. I watched every Winnie the Pooh movie. I watched Lizzie McGuire. I had to watch all the girl stuff, and Star Wars was the one me thing, not necessarily a guy thing, because like my sisters watched it.
Oh yeah,
too.
they watched. Yeah,
but it was like
my sister loved Darth Maul. That was her favorite character. That was like her like not like Screw Padme, Screw the Jedi. Like she liked Darth, and I was always like, he's creepy.
Hey man,
but
he is creepy, but he's a good character. I know other people who like that's their favorite character. Yeah. I'm like, have you seen Obi-Wan Kenobi?
He was kind of freaky too, even.
Obi-Wan's far and away my favorite character. And episode 3 just...
yeah, he was good in this movie. He was probably the best actor.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, Palpatine was good if, cringy. And he was like... You could see him, acting in, a theater. He's that kind of actor who's, really dramatic. But it works. I mean, he's supposed to be melodramatic, kind of.
Yeah, it's very... I'm definitely excited for the Obi-Wan limited series that they're going to do in a couple years.
Oh, is that happening?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Like, live action, with Ewan McGregor. Like, he's going to do it.
Really?
Yeah. And it's one of the... I think it's Deborah Chow, one of the directors from The Mandalorian. She's directing the whole thing, so it's
that sounds exciting. Like a good mix.
Yeah, Star Wars. It's just been such a big part of my life. Like it's always like I said, 8 years old, and I'm like, boom, I'm hooked. And that was kind of what I remember buying my first lightsaber at Walmart.
Yeah,
$15
you're
gift
saying
card.
You were Obi-Wan, and I was Anakin for Halloween. I actually trick-or-treated with an Obi-Wan, but it wasn't you.
Yeah. Yeah, that was my great grandmother made put the I remember going to Walmart and you could buy the kit, the layout stuff, and then my mom went and bought the fabric, and my great grandma made me this thing. Oh, and it was so exciting.
Oh yeah, same.
I need to get her to make me another one before she gets too old, but
that does sound
we'll
good.
see. Maybe I should just make it myself.
Yeah. My last thing I wanted to mention that was big was between the Lego game, they had the Wookiee level on Kashyyyk.
Yeah.
And I was always depressed because I remembered it wrong, but it's 30 seconds.
Yeah, it was very different.
You said there's a lot more battling in this movie, but could you imagine if that was this? That could have been so cool. The Ewok battle in episode 6 is so hilarious and awesome and riveting, and they're more emotional and cute. I guess you're attached to them.
Yeah.
But still, the Wookiees are awesome, and they just cut away right away, and Yoda was there.
Yeah, it could have been a lot more. It's. Then again, it's they could have done 3 movies just on
for sure
episode 3. For all the planets and stuff that was going on. But I think Clone Wars does a pretty good job of
fleshed it out.
Going through all of it. Yeah, like I said, Star Wars I feel has gotten really good at developing things that are set up in the films. Mm-hmm. And it's as a fan it's great to see because 1 it gets me fresh content on a yearly basis, and 2 I think it just makes it more accessible to other people and more relatable for other people. There's books, there's movies, there's video games, there's comics, there's everything.
There's remixes from the cantina.
Yeah.
Songs.
And with the whole making of Galaxy's Edge in, Disney World and stuff, that takes it to a whole new level, I think. I can't imagine... imagine if I was 8 years old coming off episode 3, and then my parents take me to that.
That would be crazy.
That would have been insane.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I feel talking about whether it holds up or not, would you what order would you show your kids the movies then? Or would you hide certain movies from them? Would you episode 1, let's just push that under the rug?
No, I mean, because as a little kid, right, you don't remember anything about episode 1 besides the pod race and the fight with Darth Maul. And that's it, right? So it's honestly, I feel I'd have to show them in release order because I feel there's so much cultural context that comes with them, and just cinematically, they're so you can't.
Maybe they would hate 4 if they.
Yeah, that's my fear. Is if I started with 1, 2, 3, and then showed them 4, they'd be like, "Oh, this sucks." So this. Yeah. Sorry, kid, but.
Or you show them the episode 15.
Yeah, whenever that comes out. Yeah, it's. Yeah, but I'd say, I feel the right order is release order, right? Because then it gets a lot more. Because I feel most people get hooked on Star Wars from the originals. There's something about that's captivating. Even 40 years later.
Well, it's just the storytelling. In the prequels, it's just I was thinking they just walk and talk down these halls, and they
really it's we're all filling in info from the originals. You can't really understand. It's harder to understand, I think, if you watch 1, 2, 3, and then 4, 5, 6, because also it's kind of especially compare the fight scenes, 4, 5, and 6 are boring.
It's so different. It's a different universe or world.
Yeah.
The downfall.
And I mean, and then you got to sprinkle in, the one-off movies, the Solos, the Rogue Ones.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I know Solo got a lot of hate, but I really liked it. Because, again, I think it fit into the whole, like, Star Wars is a place to tell stories. And Solo was just, like, a story they wanted to tell. And I don't know. I really liked it. But
yeah, 3 is good. One thing I would say is, as far as it holding up, like, I wouldn't say, like, you know, like, for me, I feel like it's better as a memory as an 8-year-old, 12-year-old.
Yeah.
Like, the toys, the whole universe, like, you know, like, my friend had a birthday party and it's like a Star Wars theme.
Yeah.
Like, I almost prefer those memories than, like, just, I feel like the movie is just like like you said, like a stage for one of the stories. Even though that's what launched it, that's kind of where I'm leaning towards more, I guess. Which, I don't know.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. And I think, like, that's how, you know, our kids would grow up having good memories about it. Would be, like, I think part of it is because of the nostalgia factor. And, like, other things, like the meme factor, if you want to call it that, like, that it's funny. Like, you know, it's something that I think has bridged a lot of the Star Wars hate between a lot of people.
Yeah, like Battlefront even is, like, such a fun, you know...
Yeah, like, it's just fun. I think by itself it doesn't hold up. I think it's got to have the context of a lot of other things. You know, like, it's not something you just show somebody because then they'd be like, I mean, it was pretty good, but I don't really get who this Obi-Wan guy is or who Anakin is. Or,
totally.
Like, why is anybody here? Like, this Palpatine guy's clearly evil. How did nobody know? Like, you know, stuff like that. But I don't know. I think it holds up. But again, I think it's
It's way better than 1 and 2 for sure.
Yeah. Like,
significantly.
It's amazing how much better it got between 1 and 2.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I don't know. I guess you could say, too, like, they took the elements of 1 and 2 that were good and then capitalized
on it. Oh, they did.
Because
I was thinking of, like, the end of 1, I love when there's, like, 4 things happening at once and they're, like, splitting between them. And they did that a little bit here, but the whole movie was like that. You know, like, Obi-Wan's over here with, like, what's his name? Grievous. And then, like, Anakin's, like, doing his thing, and then there's, like, Mace Windu and Yoda and Kashyyyk. Like, they just have a lot of... Which I wish they had paced a little better, because, like, again, I would have liked more of the Wookiee stuff. I would have liked less of the, like, weird Palpatine acting.
Walking around.
And, like, the thing with Mace Windu is, like, the most awkward and, like, weird and tense and sad. It's, like, that's a hard scene.
It's always weird to me how they took Mace Windu's character, and they just basically made him, like, really cold and, like, mean towards Anakin. Like kind of weirdly. Like, it doesn't make that much sense to me. I'm sure there's 1,000 videos on the internet explaining why it makes sense exactly how it is.
Oh, I love Star Wars, like all the theories before 7 and 8 and stuff. Oh, those were fun.
Yeah, hey, I still can't believe they didn't use my Rey as Obi-Wan's granddaughter theory.
That one was good.
It would have held up so nicely, but you know, they did what they did.
Yeah.
Maybe one day they'll retcon it. I don't know.
Yeah, that's what's great about the series is like the prequel's one big retcon.
Yeah, it was.
And even like what you're talking about Grievous, like he's like this old living thing. Like I noticed his like eyelids and his heart, and like there's so much, and the cough. Like why else? Do you think George Lucas? Why would he just decide to give him a cough if it weren't for like, here, let's just throw these fans a bone and like see what they think of?
It had to be like it just made him seem more evil in some focus group. Like I don't know. Yeah, like they had some bad guy, and then they had some bad guy coughing, and the kids were like, "Oh, this guy's way worse."
Oh my gosh!
I could have been in that focus group. I don't even know.
Yeah, that's amazing.
But it's been fun, you know, going throughout my life, seeing all the people that Star Wars, you know, can unite and connect. You know, across generations too. You know, like that's like Star Wars is something that I can share with not just my dad but also my mom. Like, you know, we have these like great memories of watching Star Wars or like playing Star Wars Lego or whatever else, and like that's something that I can't wait to pass on to my kids. You know, it's and I think that no matter how old Star Wars gets, I think as long as there's people who are passing down kind of that love for it, like it'll stick around. You know, like it could be 80 years from when the original movies came out, and I think they still hold up because people like pass that love down of telling good stories and like just sort of like like living in this fantasy world, but like it's fun to do, right? And it's not something that is bad, you know, it's wholesome. Right? They, like George Lucas has always said, like, Star Wars was meant for kids. Like,
yeah.
Which may make me feel worse as a 23-year-old or 22-year-old.
I mean, it's just like about families. Like everything in Star Wars, it's a story that really is about family drama at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And they fight, but that's like just an argument, it's just to resolve conflict. Like it's a space opera is what he described. I don't know who describes it that way, but.
It sounds a lot lamer saying, I'm a big fan of the space opera.
But like, I mean, Kylo Ren is like, again, I think Kylo Ren and Palpatine have that same acting characteristic where like, have you seen like Marriage Story, for instance? With that's
on my list. It's on my short list, but it's about divorce, so my wife's like, let's not watch it.
But I forget his name. But Kylo Ren, his actor, and Palpatine, they just both have that like very dramatic. Like they're a good villain, honestly.
Yeah, and it's the same sort of thing. It's like I thought a lot of the characters, like Finn being a defecting. Stormtrooper, and like Kylo Ren being like having all these expectations and then falling to the dark side, and Rey like coming out of nowhere. Like I think that all of it started out with a lot of potential, but then like what they did with it was like, oh, Finn was a garbage man, so that's how he knows how to get to places. Yeah. Like there was so much more to that I think they didn't really.
I think that was the prequels too, like Anakin and Obi-Wan and Mace. Like they had these really cool, and even like Count Dooku and Grievous and like and Yoda and the Wookiees. Like there's all these things that are really cool, but like and Padme even. Like I just feel like they had a lot of good actors and stuff. Not that I feel bad ripping on it so much, but like I just feel like it could have been.
Well, I mean, I think a lot of it gets redeemed in the Clone Wars. You know, you get the character development that you're missing.
Obi-Wan's amazing in the Clone Wars.
Yes, like, and if you take all the collection of everything about Obi-Wan, he's this great character. Like and I mean that's why he's my absolute favorite. But I mean it's. Yeah, like probably my most favorite scene in all of Star Wars is Obi-Wan in Star Wars Rebels. And I won't say
I've never seen Rebels.
I won't say anything to spoil anything, but there's one episode in Star Wars Rebels where Obi-Wan's in it. My favorite scene of all time in Star Wars.
Man.
Is with Obi-Wan. Yeah.
That's something.
Yeah, well, it's,
Wow. I always liked Qui-Gon Jinn, and I don't know why. I just did as a kid.
A lot of people did.
Yeah.
He plays a bigger part in the story than people realize, I think.
Mm-hmm.
It's so hard because it's like if you really want to understand this stuff, you got to watch the movies, you got to watch the shows, you got to read the books, you got to like check out a couple comics, like you got to.
And then I'm just like I'm out by that point.
I know. I'm like
it's just like Marvel. Like every time I watched a Marvel movie, I'd be like, I want to read a comic book for the first time, and then I never crossed that bridge.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because like Marvel's kind of my jumping point too. Of like, I watch the movies, but I don't need to know anything else about the extended universe. Like going to the movies in college with like you guys like for the new Marvel movies was always fun, but again it's like all right, I saw it in theaters, like good, it was good.
That was good.
I don't know what it is about Star Wars, but it just like I guess nostalgia. I guess that's the whole point of this, right?
Yeah.
Why we're even talking about it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, last question: is there something just totally off topic, something new you've been learning or into? A new hobby or just something interesting, whatever.
Gosh, I mean, we just talked about Star Wars, and we already mentioned my Dr. Pepper thing. Is there anything else about me? No, I'm kidding.
You've been reading. I mean, I honestly need to read. You've inspired me. You and Gina both the last 2 weeks have talked about reading me. So.
Yeah, so I know Gina was mentioning, like, reading classical literature, but I'm reading more dumber stuff, like Star Wars books and stuff like that. But I did pick up How to Be an Anti-Racist, and that book has been really good. I don't remember the guy's name, but I bought it at the suggestion of one of my other friends, and I've been reading it, and I think a lot of people need to read it because I feel like in these times everything's very polarized and people are very already like leaning on one side or the other. But I think like reading this book to me has made me think about my past decisions and how I've reacted to things and how I want to react to things and whether I think that's like me treating people equally or me being biased towards one thing or another. It's been really good because it's made me really introspective in that way, and I hope that it leads to positive change.
Yeah, I think it has. We were talking about this. I think in June we just had a phone call.
Yeah.
And we were just saying how it's like it has to start with yourself changing and then like impacting your own family or circle or friends. Because
it grows from there.
Yeah, and you can't really like change the world. Like that's what I was having a struggle with of like all these like stories and things from my childhood, it's always like changing the world, like saving the world. But like it doesn't have to be like that, It's not realistic.
Yeah, I mean it's one step at a time. Is kind of how I've had to take. Because also like in seeing all the turmoil and things in the world, like it's a hard pill to swallow, especially like coming from a privileged end of things where like I can just turn off the news.
You can ignore it,
and ignore everything, and my world's fine.
No stress.
Like, it's.
I can't imagine like living in stress or in poverty or in like fear. Like that's just like.
It's hard to think about it, and that's why I like trying to take these bite-sized chunks, of what I can do and like things that I can try and better myself, for the future. Yeah, I don't know. It's awesome. Yeah, I've been trying to get into it more. Been trying to share it with people in my circle. Yeah, and
that's awesome.
Hoping that it does some good.
Yeah, and that's what's cool about art too. Is like you said, what kind of art were you saying that inspires like you to look deeper at like the world or yourself, or like I was telling you too, like art can inspire change.
Yeah,
like
I think
action.
I think I was just saying like cartoon, like not cartoons, but like I just like things in general that they draw their own conclusions, but like you kind of like you should as the viewer shouldn't just like accept whatever's happening as fact. Like you should be chewing on it and kind of coming to your own conclusion. Because I think there's a lot to pull from anything you're watching, right? There's a story, there's these baseline, like at the core of it, morals and lessons and
like
stories
episode 3 even.
There's so many relationships there that you can relate back to your life and like try and understand how to better deal with things like that.
And one thing I also like that's kind of similar is how you can learn to be like empathetic through even just like I learned recently like about parasocial relationships, which are ones that you don't, they're not mutual. It's just like you feel like you're friends with like somebody like online or like even a cartoon character. Yeah. And you can kind of like understand and sympathize or empathize with their struggles and like, especially if it's like, the classic underdog story. But like you can kind of, even though Anakin isn't like the best representation of that, you can see like he just wants to like, he doesn't want his wife to die in child labor.
I mean, he's struggling, right? It's and I think the more you can empathize with things, like the better person you'll become.
Oh, totally.
Because like if you can't understand where someone's coming from, you'll never be able to understand what they're going through or how to deal with them. And I think there's too much of that. There's too much of blaming people for where they're at instead of trying to put yourself in their shoes.
And you can do that with like all sorts of people. Like you can just keep going down and down the roots of like why this and why that, and like you don't have to, but it's important to like understand that we all have pain.
Yeah, we all have our own baggage.
Really do that.
It's
Man, this was awesome.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah. Anything else about Star Wars or anything else you'd like to say?
Oh gosh, Star Wars has so much to offer. I just say, for anybody who's watched it and been like, this isn't for me, like maybe dig a little deeper or like start with something that's more, if you like reading, grab a Star Wars book or grab something like that. I think there's a lot to offer in it, and it's a lot of fun. It's always been fun, and it's always been a pretty wholesome thing to be into.
Yeah. My last question: are you ever gonna build the Lego Death Star? That was always the hottest ticket. Every time I got the Lego catalog every month, I'd always
I'll tell you, my number one is if I could spend money on any Lego, it would be the $800 Millennium Falcon.
The new one? Oh gosh.
The ridiculous.
But the Death Star has all the minifigures. I know. It's like you can play with it.
Maybe if my wife loves me and lets me spend that kind of money. No, I'm kidding.
You were talking about the spreadsheet.
I feel like I'm painting her in a bad light.
You were telling me about the spreadsheet when you go to the Galaxy's
Edge. No. My wife is my tether back to reality where I need to stop.
At least let's go back to the Death Star. Cut it in half.
Maybe I've tried to tell her, if you buy me this Lego now, you can just not get me birthday gifts or Christmas gifts for 2 years, and then it'd be fine. But
it'll take you that long to build some of them.
Yeah, I know. At this point, as a grown man, the only way I can justify it is probably if I buy it for my children. So so maybe one day my kids will get lucky and their dad will build a Lego.
But when I got the Millennium Falcon when it was normal size.
Yeah,
I think I broke it pretty early on. It was hard to build too. It was the hardest one to build actually.
Yeah. Ooh, I will say my favorite Star Wars Lego is Obi-Wan's Starfighter from episode 3.
Oh, my friend had that. I was always jealous because I would have Anakins. We'd always play together with them.
Yeah, probably my favorite.
Oh.
I try and keep at least one Lego up in our apartment.
Yeah,
that's my one contribution to the decorating.
I bought a lot of stuff here, but I think all the Legos are at home. My mom every once in a while she'll be like sending me a picture. Do you still want these? And like I'd rather them like go to like donated for like other kids to play with. Yeah. Because like for me, I only want things that make me happy. Like if I'm not gonna. Yeah. Like I'd rather go to somebody who would really like it.
It's been tough like.
But then for kids
to let
too.
Go. Yeah. Like I'd say my Legos are the one thing that I like really intend to keep. Yeah. Because I spent like all that time packaging them all back up into boxes and stuff and sealing them and getting the instructions and blah blah blah. Yeah. So like I can give them to my kids actually, and
mine are just in a bin, like 2 or 3 bins. Dude, some of them are built, but
trust me, going through the bin is so much effort and time. But I think hopefully it'll be.
You did that to like separate the sets?
Yeah. I literally it took 2 weeks. It took so long. Gosh.
I would hire somebody over doing that.
It was a labor of love. Oh, and maybe you'll still be doing this podcast in 20 years.
We can bring them, yeah.
Yeah, I can show you videos of my kids building them, but
oh my gosh.
I don't know.
Cool. Well,
this was fun.
Thanks for doing this. And maybe we have a few other ideas too to talk about, but
stuff in the future.
We'll talk again.
Give the people what they want.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks.
Peace out, everyone.
Take it easy.